Welcome to American Broadcasting Station, ABS. Kindly subscribe to our channel to stay updated on Ukraine war. The volunteer medic, whose body camera was provided by Prince Harry, disappeared in March after Russian news accused her of organ trafficking. In a makeshift operating theater in Mariupol, a celebrated Ukrainian medic pleads with a critically wounded and bloodied boy to stay with me, little one. He had arrived with his wounded sister from a shootout at a checkpoint in the town besieged by Russian forces and in which their parents both died. Using a body camera given to her by Prince Harry, Yulia Paevska, known in Ukraine as Tara, a moniker from the nickname she chose in the World of Warcraft video game, films the tragic moment when she closes his eyes with her fingers. Turning away from his lifeless body, the medic breaks down in tears. "I hate this," she sobs, closing her eyes. As always, she has a stuffed animal attached to her vest to hand to any children she might treat. Such terrible scenes would never have reached the wider world had Tara, 53, not managed to smuggle hundreds of hours of footage out of Mariupol on a data card no bigger than a thumbnail in a tampon. It contains 256 gigabytes of her team's frantic efforts over 2 weeks to bring people back from the brink of death, Ukrainians but also Russian soldiers. Even before the film, Tara was a household name in Ukraine as a star athlete and the person who trained the country's volunteer medic force. Her incredible spirit of resistance shines through as she embraces doctors and cracks jokes to cheer up despondent ambulance drivers and patients alike. At one point, the married mother, who has her own teenage daughter, chides an injured Ukrainian soldier who wants her to ring his mum, telling him to ring her himself, but don't make her nervous. Tara miraculously managed to hand the harrowing clips to an Associated Press team, the last international journalists in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol, as they left in a rare humanitarian convoy. To salvage the extraordinary video testimony, the team had to pass through 15 Russian checkpoints before reaching Ukrainian-controlled territory. The next day, on March 16, Tara disappeared with her driver Serhiy. On that same day, a Russian airstrike shattered the Mariupol theater and killed close to 600 people. She is now a prisoner, one of hundreds of prominent Ukrainians who have been kidnapped or captured, including local officials, journalists, activists and human rights defenders. Tara took on her name in 2013 when she joined first aid volunteers at the Euromaidan protests in Ukraine that ousted a Russia-backed government. In 2014, Russia seized the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine. She went to the eastern Donbas region, where Moscow-backed separatists fought Ukrainian forces. There, she taught tactical medicine and founded a group of medics called Tara's Angels. In 2019, she set up her medical unit in Mariupol. Before the war, she was a member of the Ukraine Invictus Games for military veterans, where she was set to compete in archery and swimming. She had received the body camera in 2021 to film for a Netflix documentary series on inspirational figures being produced by Prince Harry, who founded the Invictus Games. But when Russian forces invaded, she trained her lens on injured civilians and soldiers instead. Ukraine's government has said it tried to add Tara's name to a prisoner exchange weeks ago. However, Russia denies holding her, despite recent footage of her handcuffed and with her face bruised and calling for an end to fighting. Tara's husband, Vadim Puzanov, said that he had received little news about his wife since her disappearance. Accusing a volunteer medic of all mortal sins, including organ trafficking, is already outrageous propaganda. "I don't even know who it's for," he said. Hers is one of 204 cases of enforced disappearances recorded by the UN Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine, which said that many victims may have been tortured, 5 of whom were later found dead. On February 24, the first day of the war, Tara chronicles efforts to bandage a Ukrainian soldier's open head wound. 2 days later, she can be seen ordering colleagues to wrap an injured Russian soldier in a blanket. Calling the young man Sunshine, a favorite nickname for many of her patients, she can be seen saying, "Cover him because he is shaking." "You're taking care of me?" he asks, wide-eyed in disbelief. "We treat everyone equally," she replies. In another clip, a woman asks her, "Are you going to treat the Russians? They will not be as kind to us," she replies. "But I couldn't do it. They are prisoners of war." Despite this, in keeping with Moscow's narrative that it is attempting to denazify Ukraine, The Putin propaganda machine has portrayed Tara as a member of the Nationalist Azov battalion. The military hospital where she led evacuations of the wounded is not affiliated with the battalion, whose members spent weeks defending a sprawling steel plant. Tara's plight has taken on a new significance as the last defenders in Mariupol are evacuated into Russian territories. Russia has called the departure of more than 1,700 Ukrainian fighters a mass surrender, while Ukraine insists they left as their mission was accomplished. Either way, Ukraine has expressed hope that the fighters can be exchanged for Russian prisoners of war. However, a Russian official has said without evidence that they should not be exchanged but put on trial. Subscribe now to receive latest updates.